Welcome everybody. This is episode 3 of Dreaming Talk. I'm Jakharien. I'm your host, Jakharien Barnes, and I have a guest with us today. He will introduce himself, then we'll jump right in.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Demondre Dubose. Happy to finally be here on this podcast for once in my life.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this guy I was talking about with the Dreaming Talk title. He was the maker of the title. I will give him that. So he will be looking for his 20% as when this channel, this
We up
podcast
in at 60.
60 dude. Like it's two. It's two
Yeah.
of us, right?
Me and my lawyers, bro. I don't care.
All right, cool. Give a recap of last episode. Last episode we talked about uh being a youthful teenager in America, and not only just as all races, but mostly focusing on the black community as we are, because we are African Americans over here, and so that's what we really wanted to touch bases as black African Americans in America. Uh, I did do do that episode alone, and this one, Cameron is out, but he will be back soon. So pretty much you tackling it with me, so we gonna fight it out right now. So we want to get to the current state of the youth engagement in politics. So really, I'm gonna give my little spill on my mindset with politics and what I know. I'm gonna go ahead and say I would probably declare myself as a little ignorant to politics a lot, because really growing up, I was always at first, I mean, I don't think anybody would understand it, but really I was always like, I'm not really gonna engage in it. I really tried to run away from it a lot because I
Yeah.
felt like it really wasn't it didn't really mean nothing to me and had nothing to do with me, but which it does. So I think that comes with the ignorant thing of just being young. And so now I know that's not true, that it does have a lot of stuff to do with me, but still that ignorance is still there, because right now I'm in the, like, lately I have been getting more into politics, watching videos, learning the ins and outs about it. I know I have you here, you know a lot about it. So I want you to give your what you think, your mindset with politics and things like that.
Well, like, the thing with politics is that it's the way it is now. It's reached a period where it's so much discontent that you're not sure that, like, voter engagement is at like an all-time low, because you
Mm-hmm.
got the parties are like in such a you say such a circumstance where they've done something that has alienated both sides of people. You got young people, especially youth people. They keep alienating us as people and stuff. So it makes it a lot easier to just not be involved. And it's understandable. Like you were saying, you weren't involved. And so it's completely understandable, because politics is such a dirty thing. Like, you don't want
Yeah,
to be almost involved in it. But like, as you get older, you start to realize, like, oh man, I got to do more, because at this point, it's not just about like what's going on now, how these future things going to affect the policies and everything. So it's
yeah,
just really crazy in that aspect.
yeah. I agree with that. It is a dirty game, but we're gonna get into it, and that's something I've, like, really, with the mother I have, well, with the parents I have, they've taught me so much. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that little kids shouldn't even really know. Not saying inappropriate, but like at
Yeah,
a mind standpoint, you know what I'm saying? So I knew always that it was a dirty game that they played. So that's probably what fueled at me, like, man, I'm not even gonna get into that.
hmm
Cause I got a little story. I think it was like fourth grade. You remember? It was the 2016, the Trump and Hillary
yeah, I remember that one. That was
in fourth
crazy.
grade, and I don't know if you remember. Like, they had us doing like a little mock voting thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, at least my class did. Okay, so like, and I was adamant. I was like, I'm not voting. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. And like, literally, I did. Well, I didn't get in trouble, like some bad trouble, but I did kind of get like pressured to do it because I did it. But I was like, I really refused not to. And that just came from what I knew. Like, I don't know. I felt like really politics wasn't something that I could. I don't know. I don't want to say I didn't respect it, but it was definitely something I didn't understand, but something I did, in a sense where I knew where to get that consensus of where I did not want to participate. If you get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah. So, uh, statistics and trends. Uh, what do you think the statistics on youth voters and the trends are right now, as of right now.
Here's I think because our generation has so much more access to like technology and everything,
Hmm.
we're gonna be voting way more in like droves and stuff. Like compared to every other generation, it was like, oh, they didn't really know much. They'd vote because what their parents wanted us to do. But our generation, we learn the policies. We're seeing what the people are doing in action. We're not hearing
Hmm.
about it like a week later. We're seeing it at this moment. What could happen? And I want to say the country's sort of moving toward a kind of sort of progressive new ideas, but it's still kind of halfway on and stuff. You're seeing half people go for they want the same old stuff they're kind of used to, and you see more new ideas coming from politicians that are younger, like sort of like 20s, 30s. So like the direction, the way America's moving to me, it's kind of bright. I want to say, but for I feel like for a little bit now, for the next till the next election, maybe in 2028, it's gonna look pretty dim. I want to say from that part.
Okay, so you said it's moving right. Can you give me like can you elaborate a little bit? How would you think it's moving in the right direction?
Because let me think. Like progressive policies, like I'll give you an example, like free school lunch, free school
Hmm.
lunch. Like when you think about like what 20 years ago, the whole idea of that was like, yeah, I'm not too sure about that. That may cost a lot and stuff. Now everyone's sort of agreeing, especially in our generation, that free school lunch and free breakfast should be not just something we should have a privilege, it should be something that you should do. And so like policies like that, free school lunch, a lot of voter helping policies, like a lot of policies to help more people vote and not limit them in a way that was seen in the past. So like I want to say mainly on the policy aspect of it, we're moving into a different sort of aspect. I don't think we've ever really seen this for since like I think FDR and the New Deal, where a lot of liberal kind of progressive ideas are coming into play.
Hmm. Well, yeah, I think that's a good eye opening thing that you just said because really I really didn't know about a lot of that stuff and yeah with the freelance thing when you said that that's when I was like okay yeah that makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh, so really, do you think I got a question? This is
yeah.
not going off track, but do you think we, our generation, has enough emphasis on us being able, well, to participate in elections? Around not even cut you off, but before you
Yeah.
start, I mean, when I say elections, I mean like presidential, Congress, mayor, those type, really all aspects of elections. With voting.
Here's with president, it's so always the same. We're always sort of involved in that aspect of president,
Mm-hmm.
even a little bit with like senators and Congress. But when it comes down to the state stuff, like in your city and county, we're not seeing as much youth voter drive to go to the polls and everything, and it's kind of annoying to see because I know why. It's because we haven't been taught as much. We're
Yeah.
not taught that much in school about sort of politics or anything to do with our government. So when we get older and we have to make these decisions, we're kind of screwed up until we learn as much as we can about it. And then once we learn about it, these policies have come to effect, like, and these things that are affecting you, it's kind of hard to get out of. You're kind of trapped in this endless cycle of I voted for this, I found out this more, and now I'm screwed because I can't do anything about it because the power of the opposite of like what I did in my youth has really messed up what I've done now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Um, when it comes to being taught about politics, yeah, we don't really get it a lot. And then it's a part of me that's like, oh, they want it that way. But then it's a part of me of being like, we may reject it in a way. And I think, and it may be both of the spectrums because you get with me, just like what you said with well, not even what you said, just a form of feeling like I think with me, it was like
Yeah,
my vote really doesn't count,
yeah,
right? But when you look at history, but what I think the only thing about history they taught us that we as African Americans, black and brown people, we weren't able to vote, and I
yeah.
think that's why. a lot of people of our color put so much put so much emphasis on us doing that because we didn't have that privilege.
Yeah.
But still, to me, now this could be ignorance talking right now, but to me, I don't really believe that any of our votes really count us as grounded citizens right now. I think it's something really higher, individuals who are higher that it really counts for. Now
Yeah.
it may be, and I like I said, like I'm jumping into this really ignorant. Like I know some stuff, I don't know a lot. All of these stuff that I'm saying is just thoughts and theories. So you can correct me on that, but that's kind of like where I'm at with it. Now when I do get the chance to vote, I know you can vote now because you're older than me, but
Yeah.
in 2028, I do think well, I know I will vote because I think that's a good thing to do when you, especially when it's your first time and you have that chance to do so. So yeah, you can correct me on the points I've had.
No, you're kind of right about the whole one vote not mattering, especially in situations where, like, if you're in a state that's outnumbered by, let's say, let's say you're one Democrat in a state, like, let's say you're a Democrat in a state full of main Republicans. If
Hmm.
those Republicans come out to vote like usual, they're going to win that whole state, and that state's votes goes to the electoral college, goes towards that candidate.
Yeah,
It's never really made sense to me to sort of undermine the vote of that person for everyone else. I understand why it's not a popular vote kind of system, because when you think of everything else, it's popular vote. But when you pick like the higher offices, it's this state they won, this state they won, this state. So you can do all you can, but the fact that it's sort of done in a way, it does completely kind of undermine the whole one vote one person thing, and I've never understood why. I think it should be some type of change to it. I know that may be a little controversial at this moment and maybe not as seen as a good thing, but I think we should do something about it because this whole one vote one person, it doesn't really mean anything if it's not mattering at the polls when you go to vote that day.
yeah, I totally agree. Because with one thing, you can even tie this to this election. When you get, it's really southern states. When you get like the Alabamas, the Mississippis, the Georgias, and the Louisianas type things. These states that we're in Alabama, the states that we're living in and close to, they're still kind of they're not Confederate, but they have Confederate traits. If you get what I'm
Yeah,
saying. And so I think most of those things that's going to tie to is Trump, really.
yeah,
Not saying anybody's racist or anything, but you get what I'm trying to say.
hmm
Those states are some of the states that are has that kind of prejudice, still has that background to them.
yeah,
So when you get most of the time where those votes are still like adamant, that one person who is against it, that's a product of what you were just talking about.
but yeah, you're completely right about that. We still live in this kind of period where we've progressed heavily, but we're still not at a good kind of point in it. We're good on we've gotten the big summary of it. We've gotten the right to vote, but we've
Hmm.
gotten sort of a sense of equality. But it's not really being as equal as it could be because we're still electing the same people that have sort of ties to the past that kind of agree with the ideas that of the other people that were before us. We all know had terrible ideas at that point. That's why we changed the whole system. But we I in the South especially, I'd like to see a more sort of like move toward a new kind of movement and toward that aspect.
Yeah, me too. Because like I said, it's to me, it's really just the South. You don't hear
Yeah,
about the East being this way, or the West, or even the North. I just feel like, and that's understandable because when you date things back to like well, racial things were very heavy slavery. The main
hmm
states was the South one. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's understandable, but it's not to because you're like, why are we still here? Type thing.
yeah.
But if you was to ask me, will it change and when? I wouldn't be able to tell you. I think you would probably give me a better answer, but I feel the same way with you. I just feel like it needs to be something new. You know what I'm saying? Most of the
Yeah,
time when you see like higher up political individuals, they're of older age, and
yeah,
with them being of older age, they've lived through that time era where things were high in racial things. Not calling them racist, but most of them are. Most of them
hmm
were.
yeah.
And you don't see the younger individuals, and if you do see them, they're coming right under the old ones, and it's kind of like
The
passing down
overlooked.
them.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like a cycle.
yeah,
And I think what we need to see is like that cycle broken, and just seeing some well-minded individuals who want some good instead of just trying to carry on what the other individuals do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's. I'll give you an example. Something I've always like thought about when we think about like history and such. I always like I never really paid attention. I like lived with my great grandma for a while, right? And she was born in 1917. She was still alive, and it never kicked in my head that in terms of like voting, she never got the right to do that. She didn't get the right to that, so she was like, well, kind of like what 40s and 50s and stuff. And like my grandma, like she was like 20 something, and like still having people that served people who were born around that time period in those states who were serving around that time period. And like you shouldn't, I don't think like you should have a say, but your ideas are kind of outdated, and it's not helping us at all because you're trying to keep us in that outdated aspect. You're not trying to move us forward at all.
Yeah, I feel like that's really the goal of them, not trying to make us move forward.
Yeah,
I think we're just playing into their game, that us trying not to move forward, because really, like I said, when it came to politics, me as younger, I kind of refused to even think about it because I was presented with it that it was
hmm
not quote unquote a bad thing, but something that was just really so like really bad in terms of just what they did and what they do. That I was like, yo, I don't want to indulge in it. I don't want to. So yeah, I just feel like if we could, get out of that mindset and be like, yo, let's do something. Let's try to change these things. We'll be in a better place. But as of right now, I just feel like it's gonna stay at this little halt it's at, or even
yeah,
get worse, possibly.
yeah.
Never know. Okay, so what do you think the importance is in understanding political systems? Because this is gonna be a big one for me, because I was thinking way before we recorded this episode, I was trying to get a good consistence of what is the barriers of politics, because usually you'll hear about presidential, you'll hear about government mayor,
Yeah.
governor, mayor, things, Congress, stuff like that. So I want you to break down like what's the brackets of politics. Pretty much all of them. What are the main ones you need to know, and the things that you would think is important.
One of the biggest things I think that when it comes to like federal is that like I think we have to have a better understanding of how Congress works because there are so many rules, the Congress and the Senate and the House, and like how they all works, and it leads us to blaming situation like people will either blame the president for something really bad or they blame him for really good. And when you look about it, you have to look at everything that has gone on through. You have to see what Congress has done to help it, what the president has done to help it at this point. If the president not has said, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that." So, in terms of like federal, we have to focus a lot more, I think, on educating uh, all, especially young people and people who are kind of overlooked when it comes to voting, who don't consider like in certain cases minorities and stuff like that. When it comes to state and local, we have to put a better emphasis on what we need to what we need to focus on when it comes to their policies. How will this truly affect us? How is this going to, when you break it down? Because a lot of times a politician will say it in a way where it sounds really nice, but when you look at the whole thing about it, it's like, oh, this isn't going to help me at all. This is going to help someone bigger than that. So I always feel it's more education, more, more of a perspective, more thinking, and allowing people who are in situations to sort of understand it, because the way we do it now, it's so dumb. Like we just kind of set them out into the world. They don't know anything, and the stuff's gonna come back to bite them at the end if they don't make the right decision. And you can't make
Mhm.
the right decision if you don't know the decision you're making.
Yeah, I agree. Because really, like you said with education, I don't think they even put more emphasis on that, and that's the main thing.
Yeah,
And to your point about what they say and how they say it in a nice way, now you see why I smile at that, because literally that's what I know. A politician is like the master of lying, and
yeah,
even if they're not lying, if they're not lying, they know how to put it in a way where you like, yeah, I agree so much, even if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
yeah,
And I think that like it works out in their favor, but not for us because it's such a strong way of persuading,
yeah.
and it like you said, it comes back to bite us, but for them, it makes them win. It makes them
More
get what they
powerful than
exactly. Um, so do you think it is a way for us to kind of decipher that? Because really, with me, I claim I'm good at seeing when people lie, but most of the time when I see politicians, they're so like just upfront and like have a sense of empathy. It's like okay, they might be telling the truth. So what do you think?
Yeah. Like here's like certain politicians. I'll give you an example. I was reading about like Bill Clinton and stuff, and
Hmm.
they said that Bill Clinton was so charismatic that he could talk to you in a room full of 1,000 people and make you feel you're the only person in the room. And politicians with that level of charisma, it's kind of almost like a cheat code because you're not sure whether or not they're telling the truth. You're not sure whether or not, like, if they're being genuinely, if they genuinely care about your situation, if they think that it's important to them. And so, like, it's to be a politician, like, to be a politician is act like, just so you think about it, it's almost sort of being a mastermind at sort of knowing how people work. Because
Yeah,
I've always thought like people are naturally selfish, whether we choose to admit it or not. We always have a selfish market. So wherever a politician says, wherever the biggest market, they're gonna say to what they think is like appealing to. If they say they're gonna say this to certain groups of people, but they're gonna say this to something else if they don't like where. So it's like it goes back to where you gotta say stuff to sort of win and to make yourself sound good. But at the end of the day, you may not really feel that way about it. When you get in office, you're
hmm,
probably not going to show. You're probably going to show it that you're not exactly what you were thought to be, and it's not going. It's going to be kind of hard to do it because if you do it in the way that people really don't catch on to it, you're going to be good. You're going to be winning every other election. So that's really what I think about the whole situation stuff.
yeah, I agree because you can tie it to one thing like with commercials when they have like these little ads that pop up, and really I don't really watch them. I really don't pay attention to them just to be honest. But I know probably from the average individual, whether it's an elderly individual or just like a young voter who's just very eager to vote, that's easily persuading them into doing it. But with the things they say, they may say, "Oh, we're getting more funding for education," but as soon as they get in office, it disappears. The idea disappears, or
Yeah.
you would say deduction in inflation. They get in office and it's not there. So, I just think it's like I said, it's a deciphering thing, but you really don't know what a politician is really trying to put forth to you.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like you have no choice but to go in it blind when you're trying to vote for somebody.
Yeah.
I
You
think
said
you just
something about that.
vote that
My
you
fault for
think.
cutting you off.
I guess.
Yeah. You said something about an ad right now. It made me think about an ad I saw. It was
Hmm.
like it was about the current election. It was like Kamala Harris doesn't care about you. She cares about they them. And they were trying to talk about transgender stuff. And I was like looking. I was like, they haven't mentioned anything what they're gonna do. They're trying to appeal. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to Southerners because that's kind of people in Alabama and the South things that were not sort of open to that idea. And so I was thinking, I was like, yeah, I see what they're trying to do. Like, especially once you get older, it's like you start to get like a revelation of what everything's going on, what they're doing, and how they're doing it.
Yeah, I agree because really, I think okay. So to your point with the they them thing, I was watching. Well, not watching. I've been seeing these ads. I think it's going on in Alabama. I'm gonna try to look it up, but the female was very like consistent with her pitch about uh like trans not there surgery and
Yeah,
really for whatever. I'm gonna try to look up what it was, well, who she is first. But one thing I'm not understanding was why was it so much emphasis on that, but not saying this in a bad thing, but like I said, well, to a point that I want to make with just politics alone, I feel like there's so much big priorities that need to be made. You see what I'm saying? And just that alone, just to focus on one thing, the focus can be scattered out to so many other things. And that was I that like just stuck out to me because I really couldn't understand. But why was there so much emphasis on that? And not
yeah,
even just putting it on that topic, but just in general. Like I feel like it shouldn't be on just one thing. It should be on everything. Like for me, the for president election, nobody has brought up education.
yeah,
Nobody, and that should be a red flag for anybody. That's why I really we're gonna get to who we want to vote for, but that's why I think neither of them are a good pick because none of them have said anything about education, nothing to deal with the children, anything. The only thing that tied to the children was the abortion thing. And we can get into that now. My opinion on it, I don't really support what Trump is trying to. Well, that what they're accusing him of doing. I don't know if he
yeah,
has anything to do with that Project 25 thing, and we
hmm
can get further into that. But if it is true, I don't feel like a man should tell a woman anything about what she should do with her body. That's the woman's decision because what the woman goes through those 9 months is something that we could never, you know, even fathom of the thought of what they go through. We can't do that.
yeah,
So if that is true, I can't respect it, and so that's why I kind of, we're not saying I lean towards Kamala, but I kind of commend her for her thoughts about like how it should not be banned because it shouldn't be, because you never know how if it's an incest thing or rape, that woman doesn't want that baby. You know what I'm saying? And you're just gonna
yeah,
force her to keep it because that's a product of what happened to her. She's going to literally neglect that baby or feel a certain way towards that baby for the rest of his life, no matter what. And she would try her hardest maybe to love it, but it's going you're not gonna be able to just because you're gonna be the thought of what happened. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that's my thoughts on that. So what do you think about about the whole just spectrum of the banning of abortion?
yeah,
If it's true that he's indulging in it, if not, what's your
yeah.
thoughts?
See, like I think like because of how I grew up, I'm able to understand every kind of perspective about it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
understand why certain people are against them. And I understand why certain people are for it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's something that personally, if I had had a kid, or I was like, if I had like a girl told me like she was pregnant, I wouldn't sort of trying to interfere with her decision. Though I wouldn't prefer abortion. I try to raise it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's to each its own situation. That's why I can't really say like, oh, I'd go for a ban on it. I think I'm pro-choice in it. Like I think you should have the choice to whether or not to get because at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's taking care of it. And a lot of people can say, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do it." But at the end of the day, look at them. Are they going to be the ones taking care of it? Are they going to be the ones insisting on, "Oh yeah, I'll help you with this. I'll help you with that." It seems like we always we tell people, "Oh yeah, they should keep the kid," but we're not helping them when they keep it. And that's what puts the kids in situations that they're going to be they're in like I want to say in like homeless situations. I want to say like a majority of them come from uh I want to say like what is it, adoption agencies. That's why like in stuff like that, it's sort of that's why I can't agree with Trump on on that aspect of like how he feels about it, like or how they say he feels about it. That's why I'm leaning toward Kamala on that issue because I agree with her. I agree with the rhetoric she's been at least been saying about the whole situation. So that's how I
Mhm.
kind of feel and think about it in that way.
Yeah, I just feel I feel like that's probably the most talked about thing they've even like
Yeah,
just discussed when it comes to like if it's their debates or just anything. And one thing I want to point out, and this is going this hey, this is my opinion because I know it's true.
yeah,
We all know that America indulges in population uh, control.
yeah,
It's not a secret that they try their hardest to do it, whether it's with police brutality, some even say COVID. We get that anything really,
yeah,
but I don't get how y'all indulge in po- population control when y'all want these women to keep these babies that they don't feel comfortable keeping them. Y'all like, please have this baby. I swear they would be such a help to us. So I'm like, okay, so you want to keep life, but then again, you want to eliminate some. So it's kind of like that hypocritical thing, and it confuses me a lot because
yeah,
sometimes I don't really understand really
yeah,
what goes through their heads because I'm like, okay, so do y'all think like this kid is just well, okay, I'm thinking about this now. It could be a thing? Okay, so just say about prison execution, the death penalty. Someone's executed, then you bring in this child, and they're like, okay, we'll put all our traps in to have this child be similar to this individual, go through all the horrors of life, get locked up. Kind of like just a cycle of just gentrification and just all these things
yeah.
to keep people in the same cycle. So do you
Mhm.
think it could be that theory? All this is theory, but I not the population control thing is not. That's not a theory. That is
Yeah,
true,
that's true. Yeah.
and that hypocritical sides to it. That's true, but just that theory. What's your thoughts on that?
That's always what gets me with the abortion issue, though, is the how hypocritical they are about the situation.
Yeah.
So you say you want this, but you're not gonna do anything once. It's like I can't just imagine like me advocating for something, and then like saying, "Oh yeah, well, forget about that," and then go to something else, and then act like I've absolutely said nothing about the whole situation. That's what's always sort of really annoyed me every time I hear about it being talked. Every time I hear like a different perspective on it, is how hypocritical you really get to see sort of the mindset. Like, is this really what you're like? Are you not hearing yourself kind of speak right now at this moment? Like, you're not
Yeah.
hearing what you're just saying this time. So that's really what gets me on it. That like that's it. It's the most annoying part, especially like when you're talking to someone about it who's sort of against it, because they'll bring up the same key kind of talking points with it that you were kind of mentioning with it and everything, and
Yeah.
you kind of just sit there and wonder like, are you not aware of it, or are you just like not acknowledging it on purpose to help your point? Because if so, that means you just have a crappy point, and that you should like you should do more research on it. So that's kind of how I've always felt about it, like with everything.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't. If they do, I don't know if they really hear themselves. I'm not really sure. But I feel like they do, but it's just something that they know and we don't. And I just
Yeah,
think it's something that we're just gonna have to sit on for now. But I really like it. Like it really does confuse me. I'm not sure.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, we'll jump to the next topic. Uh, ways to get young people involved: voting, activism, community service. Now, I'm gonna give my take on this. We've focused a lot on voting, but something we haven't focused on this episode a lot is activism and community service.
Hmm.
Me, one of my I wouldn't even want to say this would be a career. I really just want to say this is a calling that I have. I really want to get into activism. I really want to get into something that is very much purposeful like purpose driven, and especially community service. I love helping out individuals. So those two really stick out to me. But what I want to ask you, what are some ways to get young people involved? But first, I want you to answer, why do you think that young people are not involved now? What's your reasoning of why we're not so much involved as anyone else should be?
Well, I think with young people, especially now, we're seeing the effects of what voting has gotten us at this point. We're
Mm-hmm.
seeing effects of what each administration's policies, and don't get me wrong, some like with every administration comes some good policies and some bad policies. But I'll give you an example now. I want you to think like taxes are high, inflation's high, prices are high, and we're gonna be one of the first generations to kind of walk in and not have sort of the stability of previous generations. So it's a lot of fatigue. It's a lot of cynicalness. Like, oh, this, like, why would I get involved when I've seen what getting involved has gotten other people? It screwed me in the end. Like, no one wants to. Everyone wants to have a sort of opportunity. And when you're not seeing these opportunities come into play, then you're going to be like, oh, well, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing is that we kind of we don't really put emphasis to ourselves that that's what we should do. I don't want to put so much like, you know, blame on people like teachers or just parents or anything when it comes to like activism, voting, and community service. I think that's something that you should want to do yourself, but you should definitely be taught it. But I feel like we, as just young individuals, like our generation, we're focused on so much things that's lower than us, and we kind of just let the higher things just be the higher things, and it hurts us, but to the first glance, it doesn't. If that makes sense. Well, in our heads, we're like, yo, it doesn't bother us. But in real retrospect, it does. So I just feel like us, really, we just have to just go out and try to learn some stuff. Try to get yourself where you can vote when you're of age. And activism, if, like I think I said this last episode, if you want change, just go get it. I don't know how long that we're just going to keep asking through, like, small rallies or just a march. You see what I'm saying? I feel like
Yeah,
just go get it in a way. Not saying that we got to just be purely violent, but if it comes to that point, stand on it. You see what I'm saying? And with
yeah,
community service, help out your communities. I feel like no one should get into politics and go straight to presidential things super fast when you want to be a politician. I think, or just being active in just community anyway. Start in your community. Start if you want to make change. Start in your community. Don't start where you don't live and where you don't know anything about. Start here. Like if it was me, I start in Troy or like somewhere close to like a Montgomery or a Birmingham or something like that. Because I feel like most people they go so straight into like the main thing and it bombards them with so much and it's crazy. But another thing could be it's so much focus on the big things like the presidential things that it just I don't know. It kind of throws people to be like, oh, this is where I have to be. But no, start in your community. Start where you're supposed to be, and it all will work out. Uh, we'll go to importance of staying informed. Yeah, I say follow your resources because we have it with technology. We have it in the palm of our hands. It's right here. When we have phones and the tablets and the computers. News. Read those are resources. Go look at those things. Go try to apply some knowledge to yourself. With platforms, social media is a big thing with our people, and well, not our people, but our generation. So through social media, there are political ads. There are non profitable organization or profitable organizations. Try to go get those things. Try to go get indulged in those, and just go place yourself in a place where you feel comfortable and where you feel like, yo, I'm gonna make a change here. One thing I would say, call to action would probably it would have to be encouraging the people around you to listen. Like if you're an individual who wants to listen and who does, go listen. Go tell them, yo, let's go to this rally. Let's go hear this rally and go see what they're talking about. Let's go to this organization interest meeting or whatever they have meeting and see if we can get into that. Go try to, initiate something, because those type of things are not going to come to us. Really, you have to go to it. Like I said, he's got call to action. Just go do it. If you want change, go do it. I'm gonna really share some lessons with well, not lessons. I'm sorry, stories where I was probably youth led in some movements. I would probably say youth led will probably be. I'm in this organization, and it's the Upper Bound organization of Trio. And this was not this past summer, but the summer before that, I was marked as the ambassador of the whole program. I was one of the four. And that was when I kind of got a sense of some leadership, and I briefed Upper Bound organization. I think they were from Florida, I believe. I don't want to get it wrong. They weren't from Troy. I'm going to just say that. So yeah, I got that. I would take the Dream Alive too. I'm definitely the leader. I'm the general of that, and of course I'm youthful. So yeah, I would tie it to that. And right now of course it's definitely a movement like I told y'all before, but it will get to a higher point where it is like just this big movement that it will be, and it is now. But when we're talking, more eyes on it. I'm very prepared to be a leader on that. Yes, I hope y'all enjoyed Demondre Dubose. He's a very intelligent individual. He knows a lot about ins and out of politics. He had to go, so I enjoyed the time that he was here with us. But we're gonna rock out with me. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed him. I'm gonna definitely try to have him back. And yeah, so really, I'm gonna go into some discussion points. What did I learn from Demondre? What did I learn? I learned. What did I learn? It's gonna take me a minute, guys. I think I'm gonna just tie it to the the layers of politics, what he was explaining, and also the insight on the governmental issues that is going on. What he stated. I feel like we're in a bad spot as America, and that's something that definitely has been going on for a long time. And with somebody like Demondre, he's a guy who I can see who wants some change. Excuse me. And especially, with well-minded individuals alongside him, like me and some other individuals who just want some good change. You know what I'm saying? Some individuals won't change, and it's like bad change, or they just won't change to do it. You know what I'm saying? They just doing it to do it. You don't need those guys in there. You need the good guys who want some change, who want some type of regulation, because it's very lopsided. Just like with the abortion thing that we were talking about. I really don't understand it. I don't think they understand it. But I definitely made my point. That's something that is really big that's going on with this election. And yeah. Another thing I would probably put I'll shed some light on is probably the education. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. The education thing that no one in the presidential voting has brought it up. I think that is definitely a bad thing. It's, of course, with the rate of how children are now. If you look at some statistics, about 5% of people around the world, they can't read. You look at, uh, you know, just kids around you. Look at kids around you. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write their name. They don't know how to pronounce certain words that they should be pronouncing at that age level, and that's a bad thing. And we're sitting here talking about um, very small stuff. I see this election is very petty. It's a petty driven thing. You see Trump, he's working at McDonald's and he's saying, "Oh, I bet something about Kamala when she worked at McDonald's." I don't know, or you get her when you're asking her a question about what's her plan. She refers right to Trump. I think it's so competitive to where it's definitely a sport to them. That's what it looks like. It looks like a pure sport. They're having their fun. They're like, "Yo, I'm going for your neck. I'm going for yours. Let's do it." And the main goal is in the review. It's out. It's not even in their sight. You know what I'm saying? And that's the main goal is just to make America somewhat great. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give my thoughts on that, but I mean, is that achievable? No, it's not. Uh, you know, I have my opinion. You have yours. So don't. I mean, if you feel a way about it, we can definitely discuss it. If you would drop comments or things like that, but I don't feel like America is in a place where it can even be saved. I feel like this is it's such a corrupted. It's so infested. It's so infested to where it's like it's gotta go. Like it's just gotta let it be. There's no saving it. You can't do anything. You know, and you'll get sometimes where you'll get people who are like, "Yo, I can do this. Like I can save this." I feel like if I was very deeply in politics, and I'd be like, "That's my purpose. That's what I'm gonna do." I would be that person, but I don't know. It's just it's different for me because you don't really see a lot of people, encouraging kids to just be in politics, right? Or just even trying to make change in America. And I feel like I, I don't feel if it's even the need to because America, they set so many traps for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about the brown and black community. You know what I'm saying? They've set, well, just the minority community, period. If you have color to your skin, you're in that minority. They've set so many traps for us, it's not even funny. It's not funny because what happens is, I'm gonna give a little sneak peek, I guess. I'm writing this poem book, To a Sin as a Dreamer. I'm very heavily in poetry. I don't know if I've told y'all this, but I should be done with it by March. But I wrote this poem, and it's called "They Want Us Down," and I delved so much into like this character of America, and I refer to her as a woman, and how she just brings me as a character down, or even you, the reader, as it brings it down. It sets these traps of like, especially with the black boy. You know what I'm saying? You got three options: you rap, you play ball, or you be a dope boy. Those are the three that we have. You know what I'm saying? Even for maybe for the other races, except for the white, community. Those are the three we have, which is sad. And what is sad enough that we think that these three are realistic. That's all we gotta do. I never been the type. I can't rap. I never been like I'm gonna be a dope boy. That is not me. Even though I feel like I'm smart enough to be like, yo, I can be one of the best ones. Not saying I do it with my intelligence. I would definitely be good at it. But I've had a stint where I wanted to play ball, but I didn't. I didn't want to do it because it was set for me to do that. That's just a norm, a racial norm. I did it because I loved it. But yeah, and I hate those three guys. I don't feel like those three. Well, no, I don't feel. I know those three are not the only things we can do. We can do so much more, but it's a racial norm. Like you see a racial norm for white individuals is the pasty, pale, normal businessman. You know what I'm saying? He has big corporations. He has trust funds from his father. He's doing this. That's a racial norm. I feel like a Mexican. Oh, they're either straight a cartel leader or their construction worker or anything else, that's a racial norm when it comes to occupation. And I don't feel like any of them should be there, because us as human beings, we can do anything that we put our minds to. And I just feel like America has set so many traps and just so many mind traps that we're like, it's a hypnosis that we like, oh, we got to do this. We see the basketball games, the football games. If you grab a little black boy right now, you ask him what he wants to do, he'll say, bro, I want to go to the league. I want to rap. I want to be like Emily Chopper, or I want to be like my uncle. He sell dope at his house. Something like that. And that's not good. That's not good. A kid should not be saying that. It's not going against what I said about dreams and how, go chase after your dreams. It's not, because those things is just set to not all of them, like being a ball player. That's not a bad thing. Some individuals are talented out of this world to go do so, but like being a rapper, you don't have to do it. If you're good at it, go do it. I say, if you have the talent, go do it. Go do it. We get a lot of them now. Don't have the talent. They can't do it. They're doing it because they have this flow that's just hard. They got this new party song, it's bumping. Or you get a dope boy, and you're like, y'all moving this, trying to just make ends meet. You in and out of jail, and that's how they want you. That's how the system wants you. That's how the government wants you, because it's this whole cycle that's going on. And me telling you this at 17, I feel like it's a little odd, because I'm like, dang, I'm a little too young to be telling y'all this. But nobody else is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to definitely put emphasis on the cycle that they're trying to put us through. Yeah. I'm going to say another point would be, I haven't heard a lot about gun laws during this political run or debates. I've really just watched debates. Little small. I've locked in with debates, but I've seen little small interviews. I haven't heard anything about that, but I feel like that definitely has to be something that's spoken about, because we get all these mass shootings at schools, which is a horrible thing. Rest in peace to any of those victims who have just endured that. You get mass shootings, drive-bys in communities. I know a place that's close to me is Montgomery. That is literally the South Chicago. You have to be on a swivel every time you go down there or up there. They call it the Gump. Hey, don't play. They don't play down there, and it's not a funny thing, but it's just the truth. Turn on the news. It's about 5 shootings that happen there every day. And most of them, they're either gang related or just something stupid, like with a child, which is horrible. I don't see why would you be shooting a child, even if it was an innocent bystander situation. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. So I feel like it should be some gun regulations, especially after the situation that happened about a few months back. I know what y'all talking about with the school shooting. This happened. Hold on. I'm trying to look up now. Where was it at? I know it was in August, but I know when this happened, I was definitely confused. I didn't understand it. Oh no, it wasn't in August. It was September. It looked like. Well, anyway, with the boy, with his father, the 14-year-old student of the school. It was in Atlanta. Yeah. 2 14-year-olds passed and 2 teachers. Rest in peace to them. Yeah, that thing was just unfortunate with them, with that shooting. And one thing I understood was the FBI had spoken to him and his father. Before this even happened, they were like, he said something on a gaming stream that was very suspect, and they asked him about it. They shut it down, everything like that. But I feel like y'all keep eyes on so many people who speak out on the right things like I'm doing now, but y'all don't put eyes on that kid right there, and it resulted in 4 people losing their lives. So, and I'm not gonna say that they just they did it on purpose. I'm not saying that, but I feel like it should have been something to prevent that. With 4 people losing their lives. And that kid, you know, he's gonna spend his whole life in prison. Well, at least I hope so. You know what I'm saying? Because taking lives like that is a bad thing. So, and his father too. He got the gun from him. So, yeah, not to just go too off track, but I definitely wanted to speak on that. That's something that needed to be spoken on. But we're gonna dive into some open discussion. Since I don't have nobody to ask a question, I'm gonna just speak on a little topic. Let's see. Who would my vote be? Okay, if I was able to vote, who would my vote be in this 2024 election? Me? I don't want to leave too much silence, but I'm really trying to think. I don't know. And I kind of hate that I'm saying that I don't know, but I'm being super honest. I really don't know. If you look on Trump's side, I have a little problem with my people because I remember at one point where Trump was putting a lot of money in y'all's pockets. With those stimulus checks, y'all was praising him like he was the Lord that y'all go praise every Sunday in those nice churches. You know what I'm saying? Where homeless people don't got nowhere to stay. But, y'all do that. But then at one point, those checks stopped. He got out of office and y'all all of a sudden hate the guy. You know what I'm saying? And then you get with Joe. I can remember Joe got elected in 2020? Yeah, I think it was 2020. And, my people, the black people, they was like, oh, get Joe in there, get Joe in there. Just because they wanted Trump out. They was like, yo, get him out. At one point y'all did like him, but y'all didn't. So y'all was like, get him out, put in Joe. But a little bit of last year and this year, I've seen a lot of talk about Joe. Like, oh, he ain't doing this. He ain't did enough for us. I ain't seen him. But you want him to come walk up to your door and knock on, come on your porch? Like, what do you mean he hasn't done anything for you? You know what I'm saying? I just feel like with my people, we don't know what we want. That's why I don't feel like there should be emphasis on our people to vote, but when we vote, we need to know what we're doing with it. We need to know who we gonna vote for first, because I really didn't understand. Y'all wanted Joe in there so bad, but at one point y'all wanted him out of there. Y'all like, oh, he's just too old to be handling this, handling that. Just I feel like it's so high up than us with something we can't reach. Just don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? That's just something. It's a lot of hypocrisy that goes on. And with Kamala, this is my thoughts, this is my take. I feel like she would win. She will win. And I'm gonna take this prediction. If anybody wanna bet me money, we can bet. But the reason I say this is I say she will win because she is a female and is because she is of some sort of brown black descent. Now, not saying these are bad things, you know what I'm saying? I love women. I love women of color, anything. I love all women. But the reason I say this is because back in 2016, there was a lot of push for it to be a female president. And in 2020, I mean, when it was 2 men, there was still push for it to be some female leadership in politics, especially with the presidential run. So I just feel like now that us as America, that we have the opportunity, they might just go get that. They might just go get that. They're like, yo, we got to make history right now. And I feel like that's a lot of things when it comes to America. America's so tied up in history. They want to put some more stuff in those history books that they've been teaching us since the 4th grade. And they just been adding on the reiteration that we're doing. I feel like I done had the same history book since 4th grade. And it just sounds a little different because they saying it a little different. But they just want to do that. It's a history thing. But that's my take. And I could be totally wrong. You know what I'm saying? I can be totally wrong. People are really going to take her as what she's saying. But that's not true. I know people people are gonna want her in because she's a female and because she's a black. They want to make history again. You know what I'm saying? Uh, yeah. And another thing would be why I would be a little iffy on her being president is because she she was kind of pushed into doing it. If you get what I'm saying. When Joe dropped out, she was an automatic. Come up here and come do this. You're gonna be a candidate now. So really, when did this happen? It was earlier this year when she had not earlier this year. This was recent, somewhere around the summertime when he dropped out. That's when it was. She's had all this time up to now when the election is Tuesday to where I got to get these plans done. I got to get these plans. What rallies I'm going to do? What is my actual plan for America? She's been having to get all of that done. So when you watch an interview or debate, people kind of, look at her crazy because she is saying the same thing. I think that's because she didn't have anything else to say. She hasn't had a lot of prep time. You get somebody like Trump, who ran in 16 and was president to 2020, and now he's had 2020 to now to get his layout. You know what I'm saying? Get his to-do list, what he wants for America. So yeah, it's a definitely a preparation difference with the two. So still, I would say I don't know who I'd vote for. I wish I would have an answer, but I did. My theory, not theory, my prediction will be Kamala, just because of uh, those aspects of what I said. But who knows? It could be Trump, and like I was saying earlier with the southern states, if he does win, it would be because of those states, because the southern states are so. I'm not, tying him to any racial thing. I don't know if he's racist or not. I don't know. People can say he is or he isn't. But what I'm trying to say is he does kind of have a little racial, inequality in him. I can see it. What old white man doesn't? I'm just being simple. I'm just being honest. So, you get those southern states. They're gonna push for him. They're gonna push for him heavy, and it's definitely is Confederate states. I see Confederate flags a lot over here where I'm at in Alabama. Either if it's on a car tag, or I do know when if I'm riding to Birmingham, I it's like a big hill and you can see a Confederate flag just flying around. So they definitely around. They definitely around. It's something that you don't be naive to it. You got to know where you stand. So me, of course, I was placed in Alabama. So yeah, you know. That's how it is. I really want a bright tomorrow where it doesn't have to be that way, where we all can just be equal. But sometimes I have to ask myself, bro, you being serious? You have to ask yourself sometimes, those type of questions about, you know, just be logical. And I do think it's logical, but is it foreseeable that it could be, done? Who knows what the future holds. So yeah, that's a little open discussion, my little predictions. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I thank you guys for listening to episode 3. This was great. I want to thank Demondre Dubose for being my first guest, our first guest on Dreamer Talk. So shout out to him, and hope to have him on another time. I hope y'all, like I said, I hope y'all enjoy. Thank you for being with me. We will be back Tuesday for the live stream. We will be having a live stream on Election Day. So don't miss that. We'll be having that live stream, and then we will be with episode 4 on Friday. So don't sleep. Hey, I want y'all ready. We're just starting, and we're doing well. I want to appreciate all of the listeners who've been listening, who's been watching, who's really been supporting me and Cameron. We're trying to build something great here. So I know I love that y'all are doing that. So I love y'all for that. On YouTube, I want y'all to subscribe. I want y'all to comment, share, like, all of that good stuff. Spotify, go follow. Get the watches up. Go share. I want y'all to share all of this with me. I don't really care about the subscriber count, monetizing type thing. I don't really care about that. I want y'all to get this out. to people who really need to hear this stuff and hear it from us, because really we cater to everybody. We want to enlighten everyone's minds, not just a specific group of individuals. So yeah, I thank y'all. Like I said, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna close it off with my brother Cameron always says, "Dreamers are gonna dream, livers are gonna live." So which one you gonna do? Peace.